Hello and welcome back everyone, I'm Richard, this is Lap of the World, and you're watching the first entry in a new series for 2021 called Track of the Week. Every Friday I'll be highlighting a road racing circuit somewhere in the world. Some will be the stuff of your track day fantasies, others may just be entertainingly obscure. Most of the tracks I plan to feature in this series are those I don't expect to be able to drive myself very soon. The goal then is more discovery than deep dive, so don't expect track feature levels of detail, but do expect to be entertained. Now, after surviving 2020, I think we all want to start 2021 on a high note. So today, with all of the puns intended, we are shooting for maximum altitude and talking about the highest road racing circuit in the world, Autodromo de Pucarani. Let's start with a figurative elevator ride for a little perspective. The highest point, full stop, in the United Kingdom sits just shy of 4,500 feet above sea level. The highest altitude speedway on the NASCAR circuit in the United States is Pikes Peak International at around 5,300 feet, or just a little over a mile high. Formula One, meanwhile, visits Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City at a lofty 7,300 feet, high enough to create tuning challenges for those teams' engineers due to the thin air. The starting line for the famous Pikes Peak hill climb, known as the Race to the Clouds, lies just below 10,000 feet in elevation. The summits of the tallest mountains in Austria, Spain, and Denmark, as well as the top of Mount Fuji in Japan, top out just over 12,000 feet. Finally, the FAA requires oxygen for airplane crews flying unpressurized flights over 12,500 feet. Yet we still have to climb another 200 feet before we get to the start-finish line at Autodromo de Pucarani. At 12,700 feet, or 3,872 meters, Pucarani, as I'll call it, is, to the best of my research, the highest altitude permanent motor racing circuit in the world. It is also, to the best of my research, the only permanent paved circuit in the country of Bolivia. On a map, you'll find this tallest of racetracks and its namesake municipality 20 miles to the northwest of La Paz in Bolivia, sitting just 20 furlongs from the scenic shores of a large lake, the name of which I dare not say out loud in English for fear of YouTube's censors. The village of Pucarani is not large, fewer than 1,000 Bolivians call the town home, and using the universal constant that is the size of a soccer pitch for proper scale, we can see that the entire village would fit neatly in the infield of Daytona International Speedway. The landscape around the settlement looks, from photos, like something out of Lord of the Rings, with vast windswept pastures, small untamed rivers, and shadowy mountains looming in the distance. Some of those peaks, part of the Andes range, approach 20,000 feet in elevation. As for Pucarani, the racetrack, the outer loop of the Autodrome checks in right at 2 miles, or just over 3 kilometers in length, with slightly longer or shorter configurations available. Based on rough Google Map measurements and some photo-based speculation, the track surface could be as wide as 30 feet or more, so in spite of these sheep in the infield on Google Street View, this is no simple goat path. Possible corner configurations appear to range from 7 to 13 turns with a maximum straight length of 2,800 feet, measured from what I'm calling the North Horseshoe to the Kink. I found evidence of the track being driven both counterclockwise and clockwise, with the tarmac used by both cars and motorcycles, with portions also used occasionally for what I assume are rallycross style events. This versatility is probably a good thing, since in spite of its seemingly extreme location, it is the only active circuit I could find in the entirety of Bolivia, with the next closest track 170 miles away near the coast in Peru. A lap at Pucarani, it seems, involves some relatively high-speed straights and kinks, combined with some potentially very technical sections on either end of its length. More detail than that I hope to discover one day for myself, but I won't speculate for now. With respect to the surrounding facility, near as I can tell from pictures, the structures are few, but it has the basics. A starter's stand with a couple of observation decks above it, potentially a raised platform for spectators, and some garage spaces, some of which are covered. In the photos I found, they were either unfinished or possibly damaged, as you can see the framework for the corrugated roof, but no corrugated panels attached on the north end. The only wall to speak of appears to be a single guardrail separating the track from what I presume is the pits and or garages along the start-finish straight. Pucarani was initially built in 2005 and was heralded as Bolivia, or at least this region thereof, coming strongly onto the motorsports scene. While it doesn't appear set to host any major international series at this point, at least as of late 2020, the track still seems to see regular use, with recent regional events appearing on some local media sites and drivers' Instagrams. Speaking of drivers, one name you might recognize internationally is Sergio Koski Vacaflor, and sincere apologies if I've mispronounced that. He has driven in some FARA-sanctioned races in the United States. He and his son appear to be well among the drivers to beat at any Pucarani event, as their names appear near the top of the results going back a number of years. Maybe one day I'll be able to take a crack at those lap times, but let's be honest, sans boost, I may not have much for them in the old NSX. The closest I've come to any kind of driving at that elevation was traversing the Continental Divide in Colorado on Interstate 70. With a lightweight passenger and a full trunk at 11,000 feet in the Eisenhower Tunnel, I legitimately thought the clutch was slipping when I pulled out to overtake someone without downshifting. Such is the power loss and the thinning air at that elevation. One can see why most photos from Pucarani show a distinct local preference for turbocharged cars, with Mitsubishi Evos featuring prominently. For the record, the highest altitude track I've actually driven is High Plains Raceway in eastern Colorado at around 5,000 feet or 1,500 meters. There I did not note any distinct lack of shove on account of altitude, but science tells me there were probably a few horses missing. Now if you're curious, and I know I was, the runners-up in the altitude sweepstakes appear to be, and apologies for my terrible Spanish, Autodromo Bosques de Angel in Mexico and Autodromo de Tocancipá in Colombia, each at over 8,000 feet in altitude. Again, because I was curious, the logical foil to the highest track in the world would be the lowest altitude track, and that can wait until next week, but spoilers, I've actually driven it. And on that note, thank you for joining me for Lap of the World's inaugural Track of the Week. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, and if you don't want to miss any future Tracks of the Week, click that subscribe button along with a bell. Finally, if you have any suggestions for future Tracks of the Week, more details about Autodromo Pucarani, or if you know another track in Bolivia that I've missed, or if you own an air freight company and want to sponsor a video by flying me and my car to La Paz so I can drive this geographically superlative track myself, please leave a comment down below. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, I'm Richard, this is Lap of the World, and I will see you all in the next video, if not at the track.